All right, all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'd like to call to order the regular town council meeting for the town of Hudson for February 16th at 6 p.m. Can I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Sadler. Here. Councilmember Knoll. Here. Councilmember Hammack.
Here.
Councilmember Warren.
Here.
Councilmember Biskins.
Here.
Mayor Hargis.
Here. Any additions to the agenda?
No, there are no additions to the agenda.
Citizens' comments, a point in our meeting for anybody who wishes to address the council on anything that's not already set for public hearing may do so at this time. Come forward, state your name and address, and let us know what you have to say. You have 3 minutes. And let the record show that nobody's coming forward. Consent agenda. If anybody has any comments or questions, otherwise I would entertain a motion.
I just had a question, and I think it might be the same kind of thing that happened when Hunter had the lunch for the Public Works for 2 days. It says down here, $4,000, $322 for Jay for lunch for State Patrol. Is that a typo? And like the whole credit card statement got under there, or was that exactly $4,000?
We will have to look at
On page 15, because I know that happened with Hunters and it was like $4,000 for lunch for the Public Works.
I think this was
Trash
more of
day?
I think this was more the big state, the exercise they did when
Okay.
they came and did the truck bus.
Okay,
I think this was associated with that, but this is like a whole month's worth of bills. So I know what we paid for and I look at everything, but I might
yeah,
have to
and
get
that's why
back
I
to you on
wasn't sure if the same kind of thing happened or if the lunch was $4,000. So that was my only question. It's on page 15.
that. 28, that was around the time they did that. So that's,
Okay.
that's my guess, but I'll
Okay.
confirm.
The rest of it didn't, like, there's more things to equal that total.
Oh, is there? Okay, see, and that's what happened with Hunter's thing too, because it just came up as lunch for Public Works, $4,000, and it wasn't the whole like itemized like the bill.
They took them all out to Flagstaff House.
Right? That's why I was like, oh goodness.
Cody beef, right?
And that's what I figured. That's what happened again. I just wanted to double check. So,
We'll double check on that, but that's what I think it is.
well, that's all I have.
Any other questions? Then I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
A second.
Been moved and seconded. Can I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Sadler? Yes. Councilmember Hammack?
Yes.
Councilmember Warren?
Yes.
Councilmember Knoll?
Yes.
Councilmember Biskins?
Yes.
Mayor Hargis?
Yes. Item number 2, presentation for the Rec and Events Committee Strategic Plan Update.
So Sophia is on Zoom right now. She's going to give you a quick update. What you have in front of you is a document, and Sophia, I printed it out and gave it to everybody if you can't see what they're looking at. The document in front of you is the strategic plan that the Rec and Events Committee has been working on. They had a meeting on January 31st to basically get this solidified. It's kind of their to-do list and a little more, but I'm not going to totally steal Sophia's thunder. She'll give you a quick update on what it is and what it entails. All right, Sophia?
Hi. So we're not going to run like through the whole thing page by page. That would take a while and that's not necessary. But basically what was going on was, so the rec committee was established just a few years ago, and then we immediately hit COVID. And they've had 3 staff changes and who's kind of in charge of helping them with their committee. So they haven't really had a chance until now to sink their teeth into exactly what it is they're hoping to accomplish and what they want to do and what their goals are and addressing those needs. And every meeting was this kind of round table of there's a good amount of representation on the rec committee as far as seniors, youth focus, all that. But I wasn't really seeing that reflected in the events, and some of the goals that they really wanted to accomplish were either slow moving or they kept stalling. So I said, let's put together an actual meeting to hammer this out and talk about this. And so I mean, I've done sort of strategic plan reviews before. So I just put together the basic components for them. We ran through it. We found a couple of interesting things with the code, which is why you have that on one of your agenda
Hey,
items.
let me call you in just a minute. I'm doing a, bye.
Hello?
We've got the technical under control. Sophia, continue.
Oh, sorry. I was like, I didn't know what that was. But yeah, no. So basically this was just their chance to really hammer out, like, why did they start this committee in the first place? What do they really want to see happen? So we ran through it, and this is what they came up with, and it's going to be published on the Recreation Events Committee page. And I just wanted to give it to you guys to take a look at and kind of know what they're trying to accomplish and what they're trying to do. So you have a better idea of, like, if we come to you with anything in the future, what the purpose is and why. And that's all.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Comments?
And I will say, if you do, you are not required to read through this in the next 30 seconds. So if something comes up in the future, if you want to peruse this, bring it back up at another council meeting, and we'll cue in Sophia for answers.
Awesome.
Everybody good?
Yeah.
Okay, general business. 3A, ordinance 22-01, ordinance amending Article 19 of Chapter 2 of the Hudson Municipal Code, the Hudson Recreational Committee, first reading.
All right, and I can go ahead and, if that's okay, Sophia, I'm going to go ahead and take this. So Sophia mentioned that they had looked at code amendments in the Rec and Events Committee as a result of their strategic planning. The intent of these code amendments is to really ensure continuity of coverage and their ability to be able to do things. What's a quorum? You know, they have 3 active members right now. And so if all 3 of them aren't there per the code right now, they can't make actions. And so the simple majority change will allow for them to make actions without all 3 members being there. Sometimes that's, not always possible. And then in addition, they wanted to provide some more opportunity and make it obvious that non-residents are actually able to be part of this. Our parks and events actually serve more than just the town. Think of the people in unincorporated Weld County that live right on the other side of town limits. They're going to be using our parks, and they're going to be coming to our events too. And I think historically, people in incorporated Weld County who associate themselves with the town of Hudson, but may not actually live in it, have always enjoyed our events and our parks and other opportunities. So the idea behind this is to really allow and make it obvious that non-residents are allowed, but they can't be part of the majority because this is a town committee. So that's the kind of the way that this plays out. But the idea was that if they lose a member or if they go down to 2, that they don't have to just disband and stop working and operating. Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, for section 2-250, item number B, is there a particular reason why we chose 2 instead of just saying the majority of the committee?
We can always say the majority. I think the idea here was if they could have a max of 5. But if you want to make sure, are you thinking that the ratios need to be, so if it's 3, there can only be 1 resident. If there's 5, there can be 2 non-residents. Sorry, I meant to say that
Yeah,
first.
essentially, yeah.
Okay. Sorry if you can hear my brain operating. It's a little rusty and creaky right now.
That's fine.
What if we changed it to, and Hillary, please edit me. Non-resident members shall not make up a majority of the committee.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
6 of one, half dozen of the other.
So practically speaking, I'm concerned about, and I haven't thought through all the potential mathematical combinations, but what if there ends up being by resignation, 2 non-residents and a resident? So that the non-residents are the majority. Does one person have to go away? You know what I'm saying? Like I haven't thought through how these could all play out, but
That's a really good question. And if we changed it to say the majority have to be members of the town, then yeah, one of those residents would have to go away or somebody would have to quickly be appointed.
right, they'd
Which
be
I know
out
they
of,
struggle with membership as it is
Yeah.
now.
Mhm.
I mean, the committee could be out of compliance technically until an appointment could be made, but I think we should strive for language that's the most easy to apply and comply with.
So what if we said something to the degree of what I said earlier about it? Non-resident members cannot make up a majority of the committee, and if they, okay. And if so, basically a reconciliation of that needs to occur at the next available council meeting. How do we want to make sure that gets triggered?
I mean, does anybody else agree with that?
agree with you.
I see the predicament that you're.
And I was thinking,
highlighted.
is there a way we could say, so your instance of now we've got one resident and two non-residents. Could we say that then the non-residents only get one vote on the committee? So we don't have to tell them to go away, but they don't get, they can participate, but they only get,
Ooh, so how do you do that?
that's, yeah. Yeah, that'd be part of the rec events. I mean, come on, watch them, watch
Maybe-
the battle of
maybe
the,
instead- I don't think this is something we can solve right now because there's way too much language, but maybe
Yeah.
look into one of the, they can stay on the committee, but their vote is suspended until there's a majority of residents.
Or, yeah, or maybe we say something sort of aspirational, like the committee shall operate with a majority of residents, and we just kind of let the chips fall where they may, and there might be periods of time where it's out of compliance, but there's always the intent to come into compliance. I'm just concerned about, combining votes and kicking people off and.
Well, here's my other question. If we're changing wording, are we going to keep that a member of the town council has to be on the rec and events committee? Because now one of us has to go on the committee.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
I actually think we're kind of lacking in support of the rec committee, but
Right.
none of us go.
And me and Laura and you had attended lots of meetings, and I know me and Laura helped with a lot of events before COVID, and I couldn't help anymore. That's why I had to step down and not go.
Yeah,
So
no, I
that's the
totally
thing, like,
agree.
I can't even say, okay, since Maria's gone, I'll step up and do it because I know I can't do it.
Yeah.
oh, I've put it back on my calendar at home so that I
Okay.
remember now when
Okay.
they are. It's just this last one I was too
'Cause
busy.
now
I
we're
couldn't
gonna
go,
need
but
to Either appoint somebody from council to be on it, or somebody needs to volunteer to go and be on it as well. So
Now, does it have to be somewhat the same person every single time?
Yeah,
I,
so you're.
Yeah, you'd be- yeah.
it's like planning commission where you have an ex officio from council on planning commission kind of thing.
and not to put you on the spot, but you have come up with some really good reasons as to why you should be involved because you have with the bar and the stuff that you do and you would probably be a
I
really
was
good
just talking to
member.
Sarah about, I already have a couple ideas of doing some stuff, so I'll go ahead and do it.
That would be wonderful. Thank you. Like I
Thank
said, I didn't
you.
mean to put you on the spot, but
I
I
was
think
already, I kind of was thinking it. Yeah.
And I didn't mean to sidetrack the conversation. I was just if we're rewording things. I wanted to make sure that was going to stay in there.
no, that makes perfect
Yeah,
sense too.
I'd be happy to. I'd like to, actually. Yes. I'd be excited to do it.
So,
I got a twofer. I'm happy. A
but
two for
Hillary
one.
was on the floor. I'm
She was
like,
finding the plug.
Where did Hillary go? Oh, she's on the floor. Okay.
I'm supervising.
Anybody who doesn't normally come to these meetings, we have so much fun. So my recommendation at this point is that we postpone
We'll table it.
ordinance 2201 until the next meeting when we can get the new wording put up. And at that point, we can get a resolution to appoint Lisa to the Rec and Events Committee.
It was on my agenda to ask y'all. So it's already on the March 2nd agenda. We just didn't know whose name to fill in. So
Okay.
now we do. Thank you. That's why I said I
Okay.
got a twofer.
And do we need a motion for that or can we just
I think you do need a motion to table it to the next. meeting
Postpone it for the next
specifically.
meeting?
Yeah, because this is just the first reading.
Yeah, so, and if you just want to continue it to the next meeting by motion, that works.
all right, then I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion to table ordinance 22-01, an ordinance amending Article 19 of Chapter 2 of the Hudson Municipal Code, the Hudson Recreation Committee, first reading till next meeting in March. I second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, guys. And thank you. Appreciate
Yes,
that.
thank you, Lisa.
All right. 3B, Resolution 2213, resolution in support of Colorado 52 Planning Environmental Linkage, PEL study, adopting the Colorado 52 Access Control Plan, the ACP, and approving an intergovernmental agreement with various government entities on these matters.
All right, so quick summary of what's going on. Well, not too quick, because this has actually been the better part of a 2-year process, Mayor. Yeah. So there's kind of two groups that have been part of this. There's the technical team, so that's all of the jurisdiction staff. And then there's the coalition, which is all of the elected officials and decision-making personnel associated with the different jurisdictions.
Along the 52 corridor
Along 52,
from
so we're
Keensburg to Boulder.
Boulder County, right? Boulder and Weld County are part of this. Dacono, Fort Lupton, Hudson, and Keensburg were all part of this.
Frederick.
Did I forget one?
Frederick.
Frederick, thank you. I've been part of the technical team for this last 2 years, so I have been interjecting a lot of pieces along the way about standards and different kind of street section concepts, especially for Hudson. I will say in that I was able to kind of push along a 2-lane urban cross section, which would give us a transition of road space from what we have now to kind of change it just a little bit. It'd still be 2-lane, but we get curb, gutter, and sidewalk. And then when we become bigger in 20 years, we get to pull in the full 4-lane cross section, but that was all negotiated as part of this process. And it gives what the access and control plan and the planning and environmental linkages study gives us is basically a set of standards and what 52 is going to look like when it's fully built out. And what they do is they basically figure out kind of how the road grows into itself through different kinds of transitions. And basically what we're going to get at the end of the day, who's going to be able to, what street's going to have a right turn and a left turn, what street's going to be a right turn only. It dictates all of that kind of traffic. So when a development comes in and they say, well, I want direct access to 52, we point at this plan and we say, that's what you're going to build. It's really great for that purpose. The planning and environmental linkages study really looks at safety. It looks at the environmental challenges, any kind of, specialized or protected environmental area. It looks at all of those and tells us where we're going to put these improvements and where we're going to have to do something special. So the coalition has met also and discussed all of the kind of the policy aspects of this and, when do we put this into play, who's responsible to it, and dealing with really the decision-making pieces. So the culmination of all of this has come together in an IGA for the PEL and the ACP. Both groups, the coalition and the technical team, have kind of hit that convergence point where everything's gone to the state. The attorney general's looked at everything, CDOT signed off on everything, and now it's going through the jurisdictions. Right now, I believe the IGA is actually hanging out in Dacono for a few minutes. It's going to pop over to Frederick. It'll be in Fort Lupton after this, and then it'll be with us, which is why this resolution is in front of you now, so the mayor can sign that IGA when it does.
When it comes
come
through, and
into
then
play.
Keensburg signs after we do.
Yes. So
One of the only other good things about this PEL and ACP, having this in place, having this study already there, when grant money comes up for improvements along 52, because we already have it in place, it puts us at the top of the list for earning those grants. Now, it doesn't do anything for, and I'm sorry, most of you know how I feel about CDOT. It doesn't do anything for dealing with CDOT and those that only deal with how things are going on a computer instead of real life. But if going forward, if we can keep somebody involved in working with CDOT as 52 comes in through Hudson and as Hudson grows around it, we will have, I'm hoping, a better chance of having a better highway through our town that we can live with. Part of this PEL and ACP was they also looked at Road 59 and Highway 52 out there by the school. And again, this is one of those, they know how to do it on a computer, not in real life. They are the ones that decided that a roundabout is best out there at 52 and 59.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
Don't know where they're going to put it, considering there's 3 corners that are filled, but that's what they came up with. But again, having this in place and then having the IGA with the rest of the towns puts us ahead of the game when monies come up for any improvements along the highway.
and I can tell you, we've applied for 2. And it was real easy, just say, we're going to build that. And we don't have to go into design. We don't have to hire an engineer to do our drainage and our road designs and do all that ahead of applying for a grant. We do that when we get the money for a grant and help pay for that stuff with the grant money, which is the way it should be. But this was really helpful in that field. So I can tell you that was really easy to slap that cross section that we're approving and just say, we're going to build what you want, not what we're going to negotiate.
So along those lines, does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I'm just full of them tonight. Is Keensburg the furthest east town that's part of this?
Yes.
I mean, technically Weld County goes further.
Well, yeah, Weld County is part of it, but
Yeah.
Keensburg is the furthest east town.
Wiggins and none of those guys wanted to participate. Huh?
No,
All right.
because at this point in time, and again, like I said, CDOT does it all by computer instead of real life. Basically from Prospect Valley west is where they say the most traffic and the most issues are.
Yeah, so it wouldn't even benefit those guys very much.
No,
Okay.
And you know, though, as we all know kind of how development is going in this area, residential brings a lot of traffic and can bring a lot of changes to a highway corridor like this. I mean, you can just look at all the major state highways that pop off of I-25. They all have had their growing pains. So it's really good to look at this in the kind of the big picture, but just know, just like we look at our town and plan for it, we look 3 miles out. It's kind of the same philosophy for Highway 52.
and granted, we have no control over 52. That's the state, 52 and 76 and the railroad. But this at least,
Gives us a stronger say.
that's a good way to put it, gives us a stronger say. Doesn't actually give us a say, but at least a little stronger input into what's going on. So if there are no other questions, I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve resolution 22-13, a resolution in support of the CO 52 Planning and Environmental Linkages Pell Study adopting the CO 52 Access Control Plan, ACP, and approving an intergovernmental agreement, IGA, with various government entities on these matters.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 3C, Resolution 2214, a resolution approving the joint escrow agreement for the transfer of certain real property along State Highway 52 to the town to fulfill an obligation of BNSF Railway Company and evincing the town's acceptance of such real property.
You gotta love those resolution words.
Yeah.
I think they still use Old English, right? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. So I'm just going to kind of summarize this, but when we get to the next item on the agenda, I'm going to sound like a broken record. So just want to give you notice on that. But so this is a resolution that's part of the Highway 52 improvements. These are little pieces that have to get picked up for the greater Highway 52 improvements that are part of the BNSF development agreement and the build out of their industrial park. So in order to build the section they're supposed to build, they need a little bit more land. And this is all part of those pieces of properties that that the town has acquired over the course of the last year. We started this process about a year ago. So we're picking up little drips and drabs as they get them. And then the town is putting them into our kind of property portfolio for those road improvements. And this isn't really property. These are slivers that are next to the road. So I want to qualify that as well.
Any questions? Then I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2214, a resolution approving the joint escrow agreement for transfer of certain real property along State Highway 52 to the town to fulfill an obligation of BNSF Railway Company and evincing the town's acceptance of such real property.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 3D, Resolution 2215, a resolution approving an agreement for the town's purchase of certain real property and accepting such property.
So just a little bit different on this one. This is actually a purchase. The purchase and sale agreement, the full purchase and sale agreement is in your packet. And I believe the purchase price is $25,000. Just want to make sure I wasn't adding or needed to add. So that's all part of the same project, but this is the difference is the town is purchasing this.
And this is purchasing with BNSF's money, is that correct? Because they were supposed to pay for all of this?
Right. So BNSF does pay for it. It may come out of the town coffers first, but then town will be reimbursed.
Okay, so we're buying it, but BNSF is paying for it.
Correct.
Okay,
And that's the difference that I wanted to just because the BNSF, the first one was an escrow, so that's a straight pass through. This is a little bit different where it's a reimbursement. So we will pay first, reimburse later.
okay.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
Just out of sake for asking the question, do we have any idea on the timeline BNSF will reimburse?
I don't know. We would likely have some kind of contract that would dictate how much time they have to pay us back, but I don't know the straight answer to that right now.
Yeah, I don't either. My impression, and I haven't looked back at it, but my impression is they may have already. So
Okay.
I don't think the town's necessarily going to be out any amount of money, but we could certainly check on that.
Anything else? Then I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve resolution 22-15, a resolution approving an agreement for the town's purchase of certain real property and accepting such property.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Can I get a roll call on this, please?
Councilmember Stadler,
Yes.
Councilmember Warren,
Yes.
Councilmember Hammack,
Yes.
Councilmember Knoll,
Yes.
Councilmember Biskins,
Yes.
Mayor Hargis.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you. Item number 4, informational items. 4A is a resignation letter from Maria Chavez.
And we don't have a discussion from that, but she asked that it be put in your packet.
So it's in there. If anybody, wanted to read it, it's there. 4B, town clerk communication on the submission of the Willard annexation application.
So I just am letting you know per state.
Can you pull the
statute-
mic a little closer?
Yes.
Thank you.
Per state statute, I'm just letting you know that we have received a completed submission of the Willard annexation application.
And this is a procedural step in the annexation process. So when we get one, we tell you, and then they go through review, and then it comes back to you in its normal process.
Could you remind me which property that is?
Shackley, North, Sparbo, West, Willard, East, bounded by I-76.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions on that one? All right, staff reports. Jen.
I have a few things. So I wanted to do a quick police department update. You all know Jay has resigned. Scott Sedgwick is going to be our interim police chief until the search has been completed for the next. And I know Scott will be up to give a staff report too. So if you have any questions for him later, he will be available. We have an HR update. We've onboarded our new HR group. They are awesome. We've already basically got our new HR webpage with new job postings available. I think it's kind of important to give you this update because, I've kind of created an org chart, one hasn't been created in a while, and I was trying to figure out how many positions do we have open? How many positions are filled? And I think it's really important. We have 13 positions open right now, and we have 27 positions total between town hall, public works, and the police. So we're a little over 50% right now in capacity. So this HR piece is really, really important to us. They've really done a good job of finding ways to get a broader net thrown for applicants. So that's what we're working on right now. The first 2 weeks they were on board, it was late nights and lots of job description reviews, but we're to a point where we're already posting. So that's really great. Our new employment webpage is linked to our employment webpage, but it's one of those that pushes out to a bunch of different Indeed and jobs.com and all of those places. So just want you to know we've got that going on, even though we may be looking for a lot of people. So, you had, I think Candace mentioned the IGA with Fort Lupton, and I had said that I was going to be meeting with them. And so in between the last meeting and this meeting, I've met with Fort Lupton. They have a new-ish council, and the previous council was the one who had initiated the IGA. They're just going back to check in with them to make sure that their views and perspectives on why we would be discussing and kind of relooking at the IGA, kind of what their flavor of that is, just because there's quite a few new council members. But we're still moving forward with the discussions. They just wanted to check in, and then they'll check back in with me, and then we'll have a conversation. It was interesting though, because they started to have a broader conversation about things that we've been discussing in planning commission about our comp plan. So I'll just say that. But it was a good conversation, actually. We'll see where it goes. Broadband update. So we basically gotten everything in the ground except for those connecting pieces under the railroad tracks. So we've got a BNSF permit for the 52 crossing, and then some stuff in their industrial park, which is kind of secondary. The big plug piece that'll turn everybody on is getting under the railroad tracks. So Hillary and I had a wonderful meeting today with BNSF. I guess don't ask me to define wonderful, but it went well. We've gotten clarity on contracts and agreements. We have to get a 20-year crossing permit from them that we re-up every 20 years. And they, of course, they want everything. So we negotiated that today, and that will be moving forward. So we should get our permit. You guys should actually have a contract for signature in front of you by the March 2nd meeting, we're hoping. So that's good. That means that by February, ALLO would have kept all its promises to you about we think we're going to be getting moving on February, and by March we'll be lit up. So I think they can still meet those obligations. And then we are going to be providing you with a reappointment for Planning Commission. I just wanted to give you a heads up. We have a commissioner that their term is up, so they will be reappointed at your next meeting. And you already did the rec committee. So like I said, I got a twofer with the first item on the agenda. So that's it. I really would like to put this in a memo and give it to you before the meeting. This was a lot, but I just, with all the stuff going on, I just couldn't get it in there. So I apologize. In the next packet, I hope to, if I have this much stuff, actually put it in a memo. So my apologies, but if you have any questions, I'm here. Okay.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Jen?
Yeah, like I said, all of them.
You only get 3. No, I'm just kidding. As many as you want.
So out of those 13 positions, what would you say, what department is the majority of those positions?
Public Works.
Public Works. You
And
know-
they're the ones we're working on the hardest right now.
Okay, do you know how many open spots in Public Works that we have?
7.
Thank you.
It's 5 workers, the director, and there's, well, I should say Lee's double duty. So he kind of doesn't count, but there's 2 and there should be 9.
Okay,
So there's 2 and Lee?
No,
There's 2 included.
total.
Okay.
Lee and 1 other. Within the last 2 weeks, we've had 2 other resignations. So they had 4.
Is it still the pay that they're,
So we've
don't know.
reassessed the pay.
okay,
We've actually done, so that's part of the HR group. They do class and compensation studies for market rates. And they look at similar jurisdictions to us, other competitive things like benefits, those kinds of things. And they're looking to see ways we can kind of make our edge up.
okay.
But pay is definitely one of them. Yes. We want to be competitive. The market that we're in right now is just weird.
Right.
It really is. And we're competing with a lot of people, not just public organizations, private ones too. And public organizations are actually getting pretty savvy, like the private ones, wanting to give special perks because they need workers.
Mhm.
I mean, I can tell you, my trash service has been, I don't live here, I live somewhere else, but it's happening everywhere. I've had trash service missed in my own home. It's just,
Yeah.
it's
Everybody's struggling right
Yep.
now.
it is. And the public works sector is the one that seems to be struggling the most. So just keep that in mind, but that's the one we're working the hardest on. If we have great ideas that are ways that we can try and pull people in better, we'll come to you with those ideas. That's really important to us. we're all kind of wearing 5 different hats right now, but everybody is a team. And so taking initiative is kind of the motto right now. And I have to say the crew that's here is kind of some of the ultimate initiative takers. And it's just good to have a team that's doers. And that's what we have. We need to keep who we have and get more people like we have. So, but that's really been the biggest focus other than payroll, which is another thing, but we've hired a bookkeeper. So it's happening. Some things just don't happen as fast as we would like them to or need them to, but bear with us and I'll tell you when we need certain things or when we're having certain struggles or whatnot, but open line of communication.
Awesome.
I got a crystal ball question for you.
2 more.
Should we be anticipating, you discussed, pay being kind of an issue. Should we be anticipating a budget resolution for that?
So I think we're definitely going to have to talk about that at budget.
Okay.
When it comes to personnel, I think assessing the personnel that we need and looking at what we have is going to be, this is an opportunity to do that. We're growing in services, you have a part-time rec staff that didn't exist before, she's focused on events and she's really good at communications. That's really her field of focus. So there are just opportunities that are starting to open up for the town that you may want to invest a little more in. And I think these are all really good conversations to have with the budget, because then you can assess salaries and make sure that you're putting enough money into the personnel line items.
Do you think it can wait till we do the budget? Because that's usually August, right?
It's when we start.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we need people now. I don't know if,
gonna happen before.
yeah, I do too, because I don't.
We have money already budgeted and nobody there, so it depends on how quickly we'll hire
Okay.
them.
Okay,
It's increased our budget.
okay.
Yeah.
and I was going to say, so that's, we aren't in an operating in terms of money problem. We're in an operating terms of human capital problem. So when it comes to what we are looking at all kinds of benefits that we can offer for free. Flex schedules, you have to work with supervisors to do that kind of thing. But I mean, we're looking at ways to help alleviate some of the additional pressures and stresses that people are having right now due to the staffing levels that we have.
How much does the town pay for, I know this is part of the budget, but I don't know off the top of my head is that something? that they can-
So what we have in terms of benefits right now, we have health, dental, vision, we have a 457B, which is a deferred compensation plan, very similar to typical retirement plan. And we have, I know that the cops have FPPA, which is their own kind of pension plan. There are always enhancements we can do to those benefits. FPPA
to
holds-
benefit?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but there's all kinds of benefits. There's hard benefits, there's soft benefits, there's free benefits, there's for cost benefits, and these are all benefits. I mean, with the HR company that we've hired, these are all things we can kind of lay on the table and say, what are the things that we can do? What do we want to do? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can tell you from a staffing level, I mean, we can go out to staff and kind of understand maybe what benefits they would like more, or what things that would help with retention. But at the end of the day, I think we're talking about 2 different issues. One's the long term, one's the short term, right? I don't know if June may be able to help in the short term. I don't know if she's going to be able to step in and kind of do some facilitation for this particular issue to kind of help you understand kind of what departments you need to enhance, maybe in terms of staffing levels, do we have what we need in public works, and do we have what we need? And we can do a combo of studies with HR and then your discussions as well to kind of hone in that input. But you have technical assistance that you can ask for to answer some of these questions for you. You have some other ways to answer those questions too, amongst yourselves, and trying to figure out what your focus wants to be.
Thank you.
Yes.
Anything else? Hillary?
I have one item, and that is, if you'll recall, the opioid settlement that the town entered into along with pretty much every other municipality in Weld County. It's time to form the regional council, which is how the settlement money will be distributed and used. And per the agreement that's already in place, the town of Hudson has a seat on that regional council, and it's the mayor's appointee. So we were reminded by the Weld County attorney that it's time to make that appointment. So if we have anybody interested, Mayor, I'll defer to you about how you want to go about that. And my preference would be that we do it by resolution at the next meeting.
Right. So is anybody interested in stepping up and being on the council, the committee for the opioid?
Litigation.
Yeah,
Opioid Regional Council.
thank you.
Yes.
Do we know when it's gonna meet or any of that type of?
I think it said it would be meeting in Greeley, but I don't remember when.
I don't think it's set because I think that might be the council's first order of business is to decide
When and where.
when and where. Yeah, no, sorry.
So whoever decides to go on the council can, recommend that we have it here. We've got the perfect place for it. And actually in some of the other towns and such that are supposed to be on it other than Greeley, we might be a central place.
If we want to offer to host it, just let us know and we'll get in touch with the right people and let them know what our facilities
Yeah.
can hold and that kind of thing.
We can offer to host it. I guess I'll do it.
I can do it if we don't host it.
Okay.
too.
Well, I need one of you to step up that we can do it resolution. And I suppose,
Candace wants that she can.
You can do it.
Nope.
I mean, I can do it. It doesn't matter. I don't
care.
I don't
Either one.
either.
eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I mean,
Rock, paper,
Tell you-
scissors.
tell you what, I would entertain a motion for somebody to elect the person for the opioid council, litigation council. And we will have a resolution with that person at the next meeting. Nobody's willing
I know. I was
to.
like, are you looking for a motion now?
Yes, I'm looking for a motion with a name as to
Nobody
who
wants
you
to
want.
put us up there to be like, oh,
Well, I'll do that one if you take over this one,
which one is
the
that?
policy committee.
Oh, the CML? I was going to ask about that.
When is that one?
It's on
It's,
Fridays.
and it's in the middle of the day.
Yeah, and I'm having trouble with that one now. It's from,
Oh.
the next meeting is actually this Friday.
What time?
Like 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
It's 10 to 1:30.
Yeah.
Typically when they meet.
And they are
And it's the
downtown
full-
Denver.
Yeah.
Most of them are Zoom still.
Oh, so you can zoom
Every
in.
fucking Friday.
No, it's like once a month.
Every other month for 3 months during legislation time, which is now. There's usually one in December, one in February. And then it's,
One person, would I have to park downtown?
they have
That's an
parking at the
issue.
CML building.
Okay, because I was like, that's an issue for me. I don't parallel
That's
park.
what I'm having an issue with. The Zoom was okay, but now that it's kind of coming out of it,
Oh.
there's no way I'm gonna be able to.
It's held at the
this way.
CML building in downtown and they do have parking there.
Do I have to pay for my own?
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay, then I'll take that. If you
And I'll take the other.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll do
Okay.
that.
So we don't need a
If you get-
resolution
if
for
you
the
get
CM.
stuck, Call me and I'll take over.
Okay.
If,
My
if,
Fridays are usually open. Those are the only day.
Mine
I'm
worked for a long
free.
time and they're not anymore, so I was like, I've been trying to.
so we
do
don't
it.
need a resolution for you to take over the CML. We just need to get your information to them.
Okay.
So if you can do that with your contact.
Yep.
And then we will put resolution on the next meeting that Candace will do the opioid litigation council.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Anything else?
No, not for me.
Anybody have any questions for Hillary? Heather, do we have any applications for council?
Yes, we've gotten 6, 5 are eligible. So.
Okay,
And I believe we made the date
tomorrow.
tomorrow. That's right. So we wanted to be able to tell everybody tonight, please apply if you haven't. But we'll make the final tomorrow and then whatever we get, we'll come and we've got to, of course.
So
vet
we
if
will be
get
able
anything.
to interview and appoint on the March 5th.
March 2nd.
Second, yeah,
Yes, 2nd. Yes. That'll come
Okay.
back at that time.
perfect. Anybody have any questions for Heather?
logistical question. Do you want to try to interview all 5 on March 2nd, or would you want to do the interviews ahead of that? Special meeting kind of style.
It depends.
With 5 of them, it might be good to do it
Yeah,
ahead of time.
I would say do it ahead of time if we,
And then
especially if we
appoint
have a
on the
lot
second.
on our agenda for that day, so.
I'll be
Yeah,
out of the country, so,
it would just be hard trying to find.
On March
Which day?
2nd Or prior to that.
on next week.
Are we talking about a day prior to the
Yes.
meeting or
When is the
earlier?
date,
than
Pat?
that?
And keep in mind, February is the short month.
I know, and
Right.
I'm out of town till the 28th at night, so I won't even be home till that Tuesday before our meeting.
So when do you leave?
I leave next Friday, so we would.
So
have-
there's next Wednesday.
He's out of town. He's out of the country.
Next Wednesday.
But
Next
if we
week
get
I'm
it, can I do like a proxy vote? If he gives me a.
You can do a
vote?
proxy interview. We won't be voting until,
Oh, yeah,
the
that's
meeting.
right. So I can do a
so if
proxy
you
interview.
have a list of questions, and remember, we have to ask everybody the same questions. But if Hillary, are you and Corey going to provide a good list again?
We sure can.
If you could provide that as well, and then Sarah, maybe you and Joe can get together and you can say, I'm asking these for Joe and I'm asking these for me or whatever.
Yeah, and then I'll just write down.
Could we push it out? Does it have to be?
Have to have it appointed within 60 days or 90 days of the resignation.
It's the vacancy, or else you get pushed into a special election situation.
So even if we interview,
Cause she
the-
just
right,
resigned
so
the last.
if we
Yeah.
interview the first meeting of March and then.
You
we
can appoint the second meeting.
Should we do that?
Yeah, and
I
we
think
could
that's
maybe
the
do
best.
it in the week between the first and second meetings if we need.
During
to.
planning commission?
Oh, I
No,
guess
we'll
that's-
just
do
interview the
it.
first meeting and then we'll appoint the second meeting.
Just make sure
So
it's
they
a
just
short
won't
meeting.
know who.
We can do a work session at the beginning of the meeting.
Okay,
So we can do all the interviews, we can run the meeting, we can appoint then on the second meeting,
okay.
if you guys want to do that.
That'll work.
Yes.
Do you think with 5 people, if we start at 5 o'clock, that is enough time?
Yes. I do, because, well,
It depends on how
It
many
dep-
questions. yeah.
it depends on how long their answers are too.
Yeah.
So
That's still a whole hour for 5 people, so.
should be fine. I
Um,
think. Because
yeah.
how many did we have the
No one's
last
gonna-
time
no.
when we appointed Lisa? We
That's-
had three or four.
Or,
Okay, and so we did those during the meeting
yeah,
and it was fine. So if we do it at 5,
What,
if
12
all
minutes
people,
Yeah, I think 5 would be good.
That should be fine.
yeah,
Let's do it 5.
all right.
So we'll set up the agenda for the next regular council meeting to have a work session before the 6 PM normal start date for this purpose. Does that sound like a plan? Okay.
Assuming nobody turns anything in tomorrow.
Even if they do, we should be able to get it.
Because we'll
Yeah,
have.
I'm
the
not really worried
application
about it.
before.
Yeah, we will have the applications beforehand. All right, perfect. Thank you, Heather. Scott,
So the police department last Wednesday, we dealt with several parking complaints, abandoned vehicle complaints. We went townwide, kind of did an assessment of the town and turned it into more of an educational campaign more than an enforcement campaign. Officers went through town, looked at vehicles parked on city streets and town right-of-ways. We issued 40 warnings. By end of business day last Wednesday, we were about 80% compliance. Most residents moved their vehicles as required. I made myself available to receive any type of phone calls from any residents that we had any questions or concerns. I received 4 phone calls. We dealt with those concerns and questions. I made myself available to the residents on Beach Street. Actually went out there in person, talked to several residents, kind of explained our warning system, why we were issuing warnings, and what the town ordinance was. With that education campaign, we then got onto our Facebook page for the police department, explained why we were doing the warnings, added the town ordinance to the Facebook page, as well as our Crime Watch app. As of this afternoon, we only had 2 vehicles in town that hadn't been moved. Both of those vehicle owners have reached out to the police department. We are giving it an extension so that we can get those residents the help they need to get those vehicles off the street. And as of now, there's no plan to enforce any of those warnings.
Quick question for you. So that was a townwide deal. That wasn't a focused area.
Correct. We wanted to make sure that we went townwide. We didn't want to, as a police department, make it look like we were just segregating one portion of the town.
Does anybody else have any questions for Scott? No? Thank you.
Thank you.
Lee, you don't get to hide back there.
Wish I had good news for you. We will be sending out 2 letters next week about violations on water. One of them was we did not meet our quota for the flow back preventers, or backflow preventers, excuse me. We were supposed to meet 98% and we did not make it. We could not get into the prison to check their backflow preventers. The
Isn't
second
there supposed to be
one,
somebody out there?
periodically they have a maintenance person. But I've been trying to talk to someone higher up and I'm getting the runaround, or I got the
Okay.
runaround. The second violation was we have high TTHMs out at the CM&I, which we are going to start flushing hydrants more frequently or more. And we're discussing on other options we can try to increase the flow of water out there to eliminate the TTHMs. But we'll
And
be
that is?
sending trihalomethane.
Trichlomethane, okay.
It is a byproduct from the chlorine residual and common organics in the water. But it
And
comes
when the
from
line doesn't get used enough,
it's,
it,
yeah, it's not getting used enough.
Yeah.
So we're talking some other options we can try. But until then, it's just going to be flushing the hydrants more frequently, which is something we really don't like to do because it's wasting water.
right.
But
Looping the system is ultimately what keeps everything moving. So that's always our goal.
it would help, yes.
And that was, I was going to ask, that was brought up when the school was put in as actually looping the system. And that at that time, as well as putting in the pump, we couldn't afford to do both. Can we start looking back into timelines and expense of looping the entire system?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because especially going forward for more growth and everything else, I think it would be, now is definitely the time to really start looking into getting that done. And I know it's you and whoever else is there's got to do the whole thing. No. But if we could bring that up again, that kind of got pushed aside because money issues more than anything. We needed to get the pump going, which thank you for getting that going.
You're welcome.
But yeah, pointing out that I have a leak at my house.
I'm sorry.
Actually, I think we've had the leak for a long time. There just wasn't enough pressure to make it a big deal. But the looping the system would help a lot then with pressure and not having to,
Keeping water moving.
yeah.
Right.
That would be great.
What you're describing is something that I think the plan, and you will, when I can put my planner hat back on and get back in front of you and talk to you about the comp plan and all the things we've talked about the comp plan, thinking about facilities master planning and understanding, and our facilities is our capital facilities as well. So our water lines, our sewer lines, our new fiber line, those are all capital facilities, but where do they need to go to be smart about how development can be smart? So those are really big picture conversations that we're having. What you're describing as a utilities master plan. One that not just kind of understands where our missing connections are to our system that we have today, but where we want it to go and where it can safely go and effectively and efficiently go in the future. Because sometimes people put water and sewer lines in stupid places. I'll just say that. That is, I've been
Mhm.
doing development for decades now. So it's one of those things that you just want to make sure to tell them where you want it. And a plan is how you do that.
And part of that plan, when you get a chance to actually put back on a full planner hat, not that we're looking to get rid of you, you're doing a fabulous job. Thank you for all that you're doing. Part of that, can we look into all of the grants available for infrastructure like that?
Absolutely.
I mean, loans and the USDA loans and all of those are great, but any grants that we can get to help subsidize these projects would be a boon. So that would be great.
And there's a lot of infrastructure grants coming down the federal pipeline, so that may be an opportunity.
Right. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Anything for Lee?
What happened? What's going on by the bank? Was there's, it seems like it's something with the water.
Oh, across
Or is
the,
it
by the.
Yeah, the Motherland had a water break,
Oh, okay.
but it was on our side,
Oh.
so we had someone come out and fix that one too.
Was it due to the pressure or just,
The line that's going to their facility, where the break happened this time, there was already 2 patches there. I think their line is just old and falling apart.
okay,
That building has been in use as a factory for a very long time.
Yeah.
So a lot of the pipes that go into it are just what they've had from the beginning.
Mhm.
And it is a ductile iron, so.
all right, anything else, guys?
I just want to say thank you guys for the last 2 snowstorms plowing Cherry so the buses can get down easier to get to the school.
Especially knowing how few people you have.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. It's not easy.
That's not an easy job to do with 2
Full
people.
staffing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Let alone 2 people.
yeah, thank you.
Yes.
we appreciate you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
We do.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right, thank you. Daniel,
Yeah, I don't, something I read in a newspaper today that we may want to start thinking about, maybe more of a planning commission thing. But the state of Colorado is looking at restricting the ability of towns to slow their own growth, which could be a problem for us because we don't want to grow too fast. So it may be something you guys want to read or look into. It was in the Keensburg paper.
I read part of it.
Can I ask you a quick question? Is it related to like the Lakewood 1% rule that they did? And
Yeah, so
Okay.
I guess Boulder has that 1% rule, but that's been in place since like 1960.
they were one of the first to do that level of growth management.
And-
Absolutely.
The article said, I haven't done any further research
Okay.
outside of reading the article, so don't quote me. But the article stated that those towns will kind of be sort of grandfathered in, the rules they already have in place are the rules they have in place, but anything further would be restricted once they pass that. I guess it's a law that they're looking to pass. I don't know if it's a law or an ordinance or however they refer
How
to
would
it.
that affect us being home rule?
Depends on how the law is written and this.
The CML person who's doing the legislative stuff
Me now.
might want to look out for that. If it's a bill that's pending in the General Assembly, we would want to know, and CML would certainly probably be taking a position on it.
Yeah, CML, I guess, is pretty hot on it already, saying that
They usually are.
it's not a good idea. But it might be something you're aware of because it basically pushes affordable housing, which really means, which is something we've had issues in the past. People in this town really don't want that sort of housing in this town.
Right.
So maybe something to pay attention to.
And definitely something to keep in mind for the comp plan. Thanks.
That's all I got.
Candace,
Nothing.
Lisa?
No.
Joe,
I'm good.
Sarah?
Yeah, nothing.
I have a couple of things. With Maria gone, we need a new mayor pro tem. So anybody wishing to step up or nominate,
I'd be happy to do it.
then I need a motion to elect Daniel as mayor pro tem. I'll make the motion to elect Daniel as mayor pro tem.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And one of the main reasons for that is I'm going to be gone a bunch.
You'll have to let me know your schedule.
Oh, yeah, because you're gone a lot too, huh? But you log in, so that's fine.
And I
told
could,
my boss I'm avoiding travel on Wednesdays if at all possible.
I could log in because we are going to be working from the road. So that is possible. It's just a little harder to run the meeting.
We'll just talk. We'll just
So,
schedule.
because at the moment, it looks like the month of March I'll be gone, other than I will be here that very first meeting in March. And it kind of looks like the month of May. Hey, we figured out we can work remotely, so we're going to go remote and work.
Oh, yeah.
You and the rest of the country.
It's caused a few issues considering we can't take the pony with us, but,
I mean, you can.
or the chickens or
If you
the,
really wanted to, you can.
no,
I mean,
my
there's a
horse,
ways-
my horse trailer doesn't have living quarters and while she would fit in that fifth wheel we have. Anyway, so yeah, I'll be here for the first meeting in March. And the plan is I will be here for the first meeting in May. It is possible I will not be here for the first or the second meeting in May and the first meeting in June, depending on how that trip goes. But I can be available and I can zoom in. It's just somebody to actually
Oh,
run
that
the
sounds
meeting.
good. I don't get busy until September.
Okay. I think that was the only other thing that,
Sophia wanted to mention the Easter egg hunt. If anybody wants to volunteer, if anybody wants to go.
oh yes,
it's happening
Easter egg
soon.
hunt. And Sophia, could you bring up April 2nd?
Yes, so we kind of actually are gonna have almost back-to-back events in April. So April 2nd is going to be the Founder's Day event. We've already booked the Legendary Ladies and we've got Motherload judging the chili cook-off. We got a crock pot as like the prize, brand new, got a trophy. We're pretty much ready to go on that. And Laura, I believe you said that you were good to kind of help us conduct that one. I know you used to be a legendary
I
lady. at one
have it
point, I think.
scheduled. I will be here by that day.
Awesome. And then April 9th, we have the Easter egg hunt. We're mostly just looking for some volunteers that day to help us hide eggs. I've reached out to the high school for teenagers who have community service requirements to hide eggs. Hopefully we can get some people that way, but we really wanted at least a couple adults there at the very least, especially for handing out prizes to kids who come running at you with an egg with a number on it. So we were looking for volunteers for that, if anyone wanted to volunteer from town council. And the animal clinic is scheduled for April 23rd. Heads up on that, all of the prices have gone up from the vet clinic. No surprise based on the trends lately, but they've all gone up roughly $5 per vaccine or whatever it is, but it is still a huge discount compared to what they would get for regular vet service.
Thank you.
Sophia, what day is the Easter egg hunt?
April 9th, and it's Memorial Park, 10 a.m., but we will be meeting there at 9 a.m. to set up.
Okay, I got Maria's email for the Easter bunny, so I'm working on that, just so you know.
I can help it.
Thank you.
I can help too.
Yeah, I'll volunteer to help with the eggs as well.
Sophia,
That'd
you
be
got
great.
Lisa, you got 2.
Yay. Very happy. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else for Sophia? Okay, it looks like we have a chat.
It's been up there for a while.
I can't see it on this computer
Can-
I didn't want
Oh, that might have actually been me messaging Jen to let her know that I had to ask about the Easter egg thing because I forgot earlier.
Okay.
We'll double check, so you actually don't pull it up on the screen.
Well, she's the only person in the meeting.
Yeah, so it probably
Yeah.
is her.
That had to have been her. Okay.
All right, give me some time. I'll get that.
Sorry.
Yeah, your arm working.
All right.
All right. So that's all I have. Now, again, we have citizens' comments. Anybody wishing to address the council on anything that they didn't get a chance to talk about earlier may do so at this time. You come forward, state your name and address, and you will have 3 minutes.
There's nobody else on the call. I'm not sure if the gentleman outside.
Apparently not.
Yep, we'll just leave that at that.
So, all right, let the record show that nobody's coming up.
You have to move.
I need a motion to go into executive session.
I make a motion to go into, executive, don't have to read it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, Daniel can do it. He's mayor pro tem.
Close my dinner.
I was like, I don't
On
have
your
the
thing.
thing to read.
Turn it over.
I make a motion to go into executive session pursuant to section 3.12(1)(c) of the Hudson Home Rule Charter for matters of attorney-client privilege to receive legal advice from an attorney representing the town and for matters required by law to keep confidential. 1, regarding a police department assessment, and 2, regarding litigation covered by insurance.
A second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are in executive session as of 7:04.